Hey, welcome back to the shed. On this episode, we're going to be talking about some of the pitfalls of frame measurement, and we're going to look at some things that you can do to make minor adjustments if you made a mistake like I did. All right, let me start out by saying, if you're 6 foot tall, you are never going to fit on a 16-inch frame. Let's just get that right out of the way. But we're going to talk about the 3 bikes that I ride. These are my three bikes. All 3 of these are considered 19-inch. 2 of them are pretty close to the same, but the one is pretty different for something that's still 19-inch. But we're going to start out, I'm going to tell you what the classic way of measuring a bike is. So if you see something that's 18-inch, 17-inch, 19-inch, what they're talking about is the seat post length from the bottom bracket. So let's look at that. Let me show you how these are 19-inch. So you go to the center of the bottom bracket to the top of the seat post. Okay? So that one there, that one's 19-inch. You go to this one. See, 19-inch to the top of the seat post clamp. And same thing there. 19-inch to the top of the seat post clamp. So technically they're all 19-inch frames, so they should all be the same, right? Well, wrong. You've probably heard of reach and effective top tube length. So the Polygon and the Lotus are pretty close to each other. But my latest one, my Twitter here, is not. And you probably can notice, you probably can see the seat post goes straight and then is kicked back at its 73-degree angle. So that kind of tricked me with my dimensions a little bit. Now, I fit on a bike fine when I'm standing and pedaling, but when I'm sitting on a seat and pedaling, I'm really kind of cramped. I'm going to do a little comparison here. I'm going to show you a measurement I'm going to take. I'm going to take a measurement from the center of the handlebar to the front of the seat. And that's not a dimension you'll see anywhere, but that's going to give me an indication of how much I'm able to adjust things with this bike. We got to try to give myself a little more space. But let me show you why. So let's start with the Polygon. So from the center of the handlebar to the front of the seat is about 19 1/4. Let's look at the Lotus. Center of the handlebar, front of the seat is about 18 7/8. Okay, now let's go to the Twitter here. Center of the handlebar, front of the seat is about 17 1/4. That's a 2-inch difference from the Polygon. So let me move these other bikes out of the way. We're going to get into these numbers a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So there's 2 things you really need to look at when you're looking at sizing of a frame. Now, obviously, I normally focus on the performance aspect, head tube angle, chainstay length, bottom bracket drop, things like that. That's all performance related. That don't affect how you fit on the bike. So what you might look at when you look at the specs is effective top tube length, and you might look at reach, okay? Now the thing is, reach is determined at a 90-degree angle straight through the bottom bracket, and then it's measured from that theoretical point over to the center of the head tube, okay? So this is the reach number on the Polygon, 420. On the Twitter, it was 441. Now, you know I had no dimensions for the Lotus. The effective top tube angle, top tube length was 604 on the Polygon and supposedly 605 on the Twitter. Now, here's the problem. The Twitter seat post kicks forward. So I looked at these numbers and I said, oh, great, it's about what the Polygon is. But you should be seeing somewhere in your view right now the dimensions from the Twitter. And you can see how they basically had a correction factor of 31 millimeter, which is about 1 1/4 inches. So that really, now the reach, it didn't change because that had nothing to do with the seat post. But the effective top tube length was really about 1/4 inch shorter. I didn't catch that when I ordered the frame. So I just looked at the reach and top tube numbers and said, okay, this is great, but it kind of bit me in the end. Now, I like the bike since I changed into a mullet. The bike rides great and all that. but I need to give myself a little bit more room for when I'm sitting on a seat. So I'm going to show you a couple little things we're going to try to give myself a little bit more room. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, now this won't apply if you have a dropper post, and eventually I may, because the bike has internal routing for a dropper. But if you look at this seat, see, this is basically straight up. Now look at this seat post. See, it kicks it back a bunch. So I'm going to put this seat post on. That's going to be step one of how I might give myself a little more room. So let me put that seat post on, and we're going to see how much it changed. All right, so you can see on your seat rail, it's going to say max. So that's as far back as you can slide it. Okay, and I want to bring out something about this style seat post. They're not the most heavy duty there is. I've had a few of these, and with the single bolt, they wind up stripping out over time. So it's not a forever thing, but I think I paid $10 for the post or something. Maybe 15, I don't remember. Put this in here. We're going to do a measurement, see how much we gained. So we are up to about 18. So we got 3/4 of an inch off that. So we're at 18 now. So I want to get a little more though. Let's get something out of somewhere else. So where else can we get it? So look at our neck here. This neck right here is 45 millimeter. And it's about level. It's about a 45 millimeter up zero. Let me show you on another neck how you would measure that. All right, so this is what I'm going to put on here. This is a 55 millimeter neck, 7 degree up, okay? This is how you measure to see what your neck length is. A lot of them, they're printed on there, but if you go from the center of where it clamps on the fork to the center of the handlebar, see it's 55 millimeter, okay? And you can see, I'll give you this little way of viewing it. See how it's kicked up from flat? You can see it goes up a little. Now there's all kinds of necks available. This is another 45, and that's about a 0 also. There's no rise to it. You can get adjustable necks if you really need a lot. You can look them up, and there's a lot of options. And it'll give you a lot of options to make your bike a little bit more spacious for you. So I'm going to put this neck on, and then we're going to measure again, and we're going to see how much space we gained. Okay, so you can see with the two sitting next to each other, the red one's just a little bit longer. It's not a tremendous amount difference, but it is a little bit longer, so give me a little more space. One thing I want you to keep in mind, though, the necks are all different. So this one's 40 millimeter, the height where it clamps onto the fork. And you can see this one is just a little bit bigger. This one's about 42. Okay, so you're gonna need a shim. You're gonna need one of your spacers. This is about a 2 millimeter spacer to make up the difference. Okay, so when you go to do a neck, buy a little pack of spacers. I mean, they're like $10 maybe, and then you'll have them. You get like 5 different sizes for $10, and then you got them. So let me throw this neck on, and then we're gonna do a comparison again. We're gonna measure it again. All right, so I got the neck on there. Let's see how much space we gained. So center of the bars to the front of the seat, we're about 18 and a half, I'm gonna call it. So 18 and a half from 17 and a quarter. So we picked up an inch and a quarter. We're not too far from the Lotus. The Lotus is 18 and 7/8, and we're 18 and a half. So we picked up a pretty considerable amount. I guess I'll find out when I go for a ride how much it helped. But now also the other way can be the same too. When I had the Kent Travell here, the bike was actually a little bit long for the person that was going to ride it. And I was able to use a shorter neck, and we had another seat post we were going to use to move the seat a little forward. But, you know, he wound up not needing it. We just moved the neck, and that was enough for him. So there's a lot of different ways you can go. All you got to do is look around, see what necks are available, see what seat posts are available, and you can move things around a little bit here and there. You're not going to make major differences. You really need to look into them numbers before you buy a frame. Or if you're buying a whole bike, make sure you can sit on the bike before you buy it. So you'll have an idea of whether the bike fits you or not. So that's going to be it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back here again on the shed.